sometimes we really do need people to bring us down to reality and tell us like, here, actually, this is actually what's going on. Like, I know you're perceiving it in this way and maybe your reality is a little skewed, but this is actually what's going on. Let me just bring you back to life. This is what's really happening. Come back down to earth. Hi, hello, and welcome to the Cozy Little Book Club. I'm your host, Taylor. Thanks so much for joining. This month has definitely been the longest year ever. January has been long, turbulent, weird, crazy, and I'm so glad that it's over. Thank you, God. I'm so glad that it's over. This book review is a little bit delayed because I've been going back and forth with a fake sickness, but me and my body and my immune system whooped its ass. So yeah, I'm back. And yes, it's February now, and moving forward for the rest of the month of February, we're going to be reading nothing but blackity black ass books for Black History Month. So yeah. But in the meantime, I am so excited to tell y'all about this thriller I just finished reading. And let me tell you, it's going to keep you on the edge of your seat, okay? It was really good. So the book that we're reviewing today is The Last One at the Wedding by Jason Rekulak. This book is definitely full of twists and turns and will definitely keep you fiending for the next page. This book does have a few trigger warnings that I should mention. This story contains murder, drug use, and intense narcissistic manipulation. Yeah, I think that's a thing. I think it's a thing. So if you get triggered by that, I just want to throw that out there. So with that, let's get into it. Frank Zatowski is a Pennsylvania UPS driver who has been estranged from his daughter Maggie for the past 3 years. When he gets a call from her one night out of the blue, he is ecstatic and more than happy to speak to her. She does drop some big news on him. She's getting married and she wants him to attend the wedding and also walk her down the aisle. Not only is Frank geeked, but he's also really shocked and has a lot of questions. Before the wedding, Maggie invites Frank out to Boston so that he could meet her new fiance, Aiden Gardner. And it's safe to say that when he arrives, he is gooped. He is gagged. He is shocked because the last time that he saw Maggie, she was living in a drafty basement studio apartment somewhere in Boston. And now she's living it up in a penthouse, baby. So I would be shocked too. It's safe to say she moved on up. And Frank is happy for her. But he is confused as to how she's able to afford this. But come to find out, Maggie is getting married to the son of a tech billionaire. So yeah, again, she moved on up. When they make their introductions, Frank is so excited to see and hold Maggie once again and to also meet her new fiance, Aiden. But the first time that he meets Aiden, he notices that he has bruises and a black eye. He looking a little crazy. And ultimately, Aiden seems uninterested in Frank. And that kind of gives Frank some pause, but he doesn't want to press the issue because he doesn't want to push Maggie away, especially after it's been 3 years since they last spoke. But as a father, he is concerned for her, and more concerned that they're getting married after knowing each other for about 6 months. As the wedding weekend unfolds at Aiden's family's secluded and luxurious estate of Osprey Cove, Frank starts to realize that things may not be as they seem. For example, why hasn't he seen or met the mother of the groom? And why are some townspeople claiming that the Gardners are responsible for the death of a local young woman? Things aren't adding up, and it's getting a little suspicious. And his skepticism increases as he starts to learn more about Aiden's influential family. Determined to keep Maggie safe, Frank decides to conduct his own covert investigation to uncover more of the Gardners' hidden past. His discoveries lead him to question the true nature of the family that Maggie is marrying into and the potential dangers that she may face. The themes of this book are family and estrangement, class and social divide, and secrets and deception. So I'm going to just keep it real with you. I really, really enjoyed this book. As I was reading it, I was keeping people updated. Like, here's what's happening. This book is crazy. But what I really want to start off by saying is the pacing. The pacing is exactly what I'm talking about. So A++, Jason Rekulak, you did that. You did what needed to be done. The pacing was amazing. The pacing was amazing. Immediately, we get into Frank and Maggie being estranged. We don't know why, but we're happy that she called him and she's launching into a new relationship and a wedding and a marriage. It's a whole lot going on. We don't really know why they are estranged, but Frank's eagerness, his emotion, that's what really keeps us going, and it really helps string us along as we're uncovering the ins and outs of their estrangement, the ins and outs of this random, very fast-paced wedding. Like that, I'm just saying, like, Jason Rekulak, you did that. You did what needed to be done. And for that, I thank you. I also want to say that I actually enjoyed most of the characters, but probably not in the way that you think. So I'm going to start off with my boy, Frank. He was hilarious. He was just regular UPS driver man. He wouldn't have a lot going on. So when he's going and seeing all these new and beautiful things, he's like, damn, he really acted like he ain't been nowhere. But he was really like, oh, this is really nice. But also he was just funny. Okay. There's a part where his sister's name is Tammy, and she brings her foster child. Her foster child's name, Abigail. She got head lice. Apparently she's kind of weird looking, per Frank. But he just did not like her at first. And it was really him fussing at her that really made Frank so funny. She was being so annoying. She threw up after eating too much at the buffet. And he was like, yep, called that. And he was like she's only 10, but he was so annoyed. He was over her. And also just the fact that Tammy just kind of sprung up this foster child on this really big weekend of his life with these very big, rich, important, influential people to him. He wasn't having it, and he definitely didn't let that shit slide without saying some snarky remarks, but the snarky remarks were funny. Now, I don't love that it was guided towards a foster child at that, but it don't mean it wasn't funny. Because at one point they were talking about, like, when they were driving, and he was like, Abigail laughed so hard, she sneezed, and then a fine mist cap of her snot particles like dusted the window and the back of my neck. It was just, he hated that little girl. It was just funny. I just thought that was hilarious. But sorry to that girl. Sorry to Abigail, because that shit was funny. I also want to say that not only was Frank hilarious, but he was quite resourceful. And he was resourceful in any way imaginable. Like, I'm telling you, when he was conducting this research, he was using his background of watching crime TV shows like CSI, NCIS, things like that. He was using it, and he was like, now, in this situation, how could I use what I got? And I was like, you know what? I love a resourceful man, especially a resourceful man. You could be a leader. I love that. That's a trait I like. And I think you could be a resourceful woman too. You know what I'm saying? Like, just being resourceful in general is just always a good thing. But that was hilarious, and I loved it. So I do want to bring up his sister, Tammy. She was likable to me at first because she honestly reminded me of Linda Belcher from Bob's Burgers. She was a hot mess. I just imagined she would look tacky. But she was funny at first. Then she started to get on my nerves. But I would say about 80% of the book, she was pretty likable. Yeah. But I will say that I did appreciate her being honest with Frank when he needed that, to really look and dig deep into what is actually going on. Sometimes we really do need people to bring us down to reality and tell us, like, here, actually, this is actually what's going on. Like, I know you're perceiving it in this way, and maybe your reality is a little skewed, but this is actually what's going on. Let me just bring you back to life. This is what's really happening. Come back down to earth. So I did appreciate Timmy for that, but at the end, she was quite disappointing. So, yeah. And to be honest, I didn't really like anyone from the Gardner family. And I also didn't like Maggie. I knew she was a bitch, intuitively. I just knew she was unlikable. But I will say, they all played being a villain very well. I hated them. I'm screaming at them. I'm telling them to go to hell. So they did that. They did being evil, rich villains very well. And I did not like them. And so they succeeded. When you watch a movie and a villain is really bad, but they're just really good at being a bad villain. That was Maggie. I'm like, oh, this girl is crazy, but I'm here for it. Like, yeah. You know what? A good example is The Legend of Korra from, like the Avatar series. I did not like Korra as a good guy. She was really annoying. But all the bad guys were always eating her up. And I loved it. So I found myself rooting for them. So I did not like her. I just did not know what the writers were doing when they made her the way that they did. And I know I'm not the only one. A lot of people have said they did not like her. But anyway, yeah. So because I did like Frank in this instance as a good guy. But Maggie, I don't think I liked her, but I respected her villainous. I feel like I gave away some part of it, but sorry. I can just say I appreciated the villainous of the bad guys in this story. Yeah, y'all did that. Y'all were evil as hell, and I like it for the fiction, okay? For the sake of fiction, I liked it. In real life, I'm not going for any bad guys. No. You know what side I'm riding. So another thing that I really did like about Frank was that he was asking the right questions. You already know I like to ask questions. This review is going to be filled with questions. I don't have the answers, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't think about and ask the questions anyway. You already know when I get to this, it's a wrap. Why y'all not thinking about it? So, turn it on. No, but Frank was interesting because at one point, just, rich, exclusive people, let me say that. If you're going to hang out with Beyonce, you got to sign a contract. And I will sign it gladly, okay? I want to hang out with Beyonce. But regardless of that. Yeah, so Frank was like, well, why I got to sign this privacy contract to go see my daughter get married? And he was asking questions and they were just like, just sign it. And he was like, no, like, are y'all not going to let me see my daughter get married? Like, am I not going to be able to walk her down the aisle if I don't sign this? And so he was just asking the right questions. He was on high alert already. And so that was an indicator to me that, damn, okay, he's in the right headspace. You know what I mean? He's thinking. He's got the gears moving. And if it wasn't for Tammy being annoying, he probably would have sat there and read the whole 47 pages. But it also yields the question like, why I got to sign this? But I get it. As a billionaire, as someone who has a lot of money, you want to make sure that people are not trying to exploit you. So I do understand that. But it yields the question to us as like regular people. Oh, maybe you're a rich person watching this. Excuse me, my bad. All I'm saying is that we should ask more questions. I totally understand not wanting to read 912 full pages of a terms and agreement contract that we sign every time we download an app. And also why they always got us downloading apps. And even if we did sit there and take the time to read the 912 pages, why is it in 90% of the language we can't understand unless we're a lawyer? Like, how many lawyers are in the world? I don't know. But I know, like, it's just filled with, like, legalese jargon. It's like, now what are y'all trying to hide? And why do we need so many apps? I am honestly, let's boycott the use of always having to download an app for something. Don't y'all got my email? Like, what else do y'all need from me? Now y'all taking up my phone space. Now I got to get a bigger phone. Like, it's all capitalism, consumerism. I don't want to download any more apps. In fact, I want to get rid of apps, okay? I want to take my stuff away from the apps. I want my data deleted. I want to be gone. I want to be ghost, okay? So I have a lot of questions, and I just feel like we should just ask these questions more often because we are very okay with just giving away our information, or signing away our stuff. I'm not gonna act like I'm not guilty of it because sometimes I don't want to read that. Like, I don't want to read it. I need to, because I gotta download the app to do something. I don't want to read all the terms and agreement. Okay, but I gotta agree anyway, unless I can't, or I won't be able to get it. It's honestly sick, but I don't want to go into a whole thing about it. But it is ridiculous. And we should ask more questions. And when we ask more questions collectively, they gotta give more answers, or shit gotta make more sense. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So one thing I should mention that I forgot to mention is that Errol is the father of Aiden. So Maggie's soon-to-be father-in-law, and Catherine is the mother of the groom. So again, Maggie's soon-to-be mother-in-law, who we haven't seen throughout the entire wedding. Okay, weird. They basically talk about like, yeah, oh, Catherine, she does this. She's so sick. She doesn't feel good, blah, blah, blah. But where's she at? Where that bitch at? Where's she at? Asking the right questions. But at one point, we do hear from Catherine, and she says something very interesting to me. And again, this brings me to have another question for the fellas. This is a question for y'all. But before I ask that question, I'm going to tell y'all what Catherine said. She was kind of monologuing about rich and powerful men, and she said about her husband, Errol. Errol believes that men are incapable of monogamy. He believes that men, especially powerful and wealthy, have an evolutionary imperative to mate with as many women as possible. She then went on to list all these tech billionaires, millionaires, basketball players, football players, all the high-profile, high-earning men. I feel like such a podcast. I'm so sorry, but that's what I'm trying to say. Men who have a lot of money, especially, will basically step out on their wives and have a lot of babies. So while I don't disagree that happens, because we can just see it, I don't have to prove it. These are facts. Look at Cam Newton. I don't even want to get into that. But it just brings me to this question. For you men who don't have that kind of money, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? I want to know, because you don't have the money. I hear men constantly talking about like legacy, gotta keep going my legacy. And it really be you podcast, okay? What legacy if you don't have the money to take care of these kids? You just leaving these kids without a father, a lot of siblings they don't know, and a stressed out mother more often than not. So what is your legacy? To be a shitty dad? I'm not going to tell anybody how to live their life. I'm just saying I don't necessarily agree that rich men should just be having hella kids. But if you're going to have hella kids, it's not even just about the money. You got to show up for these kids to have them as a part of your legacy. Otherwise, they're just going to resent you. You're not sending them money. They never spend time with you. But especially you people who ain't got no money. Like, what is the thought process? It takes two parties to tango. Don't get me wrong. But we all just have to think a little more like, what is the actual goal then? What is the legacy? I'm not seeing it. I don't know. We just need to think about what our actions are causing us to do and the results of our actions and the consequences and the serious responsibilities. And I know that obviously women carry children, right? So men can just go ahead and boop, 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 shoot the club up and just leave. You know, it's honestly giving mating birds. Have you ever seen the Nature Channel? I watch a lot of the nature documentaries. Yes, I'm a nerd in all the ways. But yes, the birds, they just hump and dump. But for real, they just hop out their girl. It's not even a girl, just somebody that they just, wow with like, intricate dances or feathers and plumage and stuff like that. And they just hump and dump. So I'm just like, but y'all are humans. Like, why are y'all doing that? Like, y'all just leaving like little babies just gone. Like, oh my God. Like, it's crazy. Like, these are human beings with like real like emotions. Not that birds don't have emotions. I don't know a lot about birds, but I can only speak to being a human because that's what I am. I'm not a bird. period. That's a word. But you know what I'm saying? Like, what y'all doing? And y'all be saying like legacy, legacy. What's the legacy you're leaving? I need to know. What is the legacy that you think you're leaving? Like, put it in the comment because I want to know. Like, what is it? Let's talk about it. That's I'm asking. I think people don't think about that. They think they just say a lot of stuff, but they're not thinking. And that's really an epidemic in our culture anyway, in our society, especially with the use of the internet. We all just talking. We need to do a little bit more thinking. Maybe a little bit, again, like I said, a little bit more pondering, a little bit more thinking. Ponder, thinking. Because it's not making sense. That's what I'm asking. It's a lot of fatherless kids out here. Be responsible. Let's all just try to be better people. I just want to say that. Let's all just try to be better people. Also, I want to go more into Maggie because she was a classic narcissist. And I don't know if y'all peeped it, but it's something I've noticed. At least it's been talked about more. Let me say that. Because these things could have been around, but they didn't know how to define it, classify it, whatever. But there has been an influx in studies, experiments, I guess, about narcissists. And definitely an influx in people who are self-proclaimed narcissists talking about it on social media. I just want to know why. Like, why is that such a big boom? I guess I hate to say it like that, but it's definitely more talked about, which is good. We should know the signs of these kinds of people, but why is there such an influx of these kinds of people? It makes me wonder collectively how we're doing as a society. Like, what is that? What is happening that people can just be super manipulative and crazy and mean and hurtful to the people that they love and care about, or they don't love and care about them. If you know what a narcissist is, I'll put a little, this is the definition of a narcissist, but I want to know like why that has increased. I think that's a valid question. I don't know if anybody else is asking my question. I don't really care. I just want to know why. Like, it was not something, again, I do understand like with the emergence of the internet and more, resources, research. So I don't know, but I am worried about our collective consciousness as a society, at least in America or the world. I know there's definitely a lot of beautiful things that happen in the world, but it is increasingly alarming to me. But yeah, as I was reading this story, I was thinking about a lot of what's right and what's wrong, right? And at one point in the story, this guy was talking to Frank and he was like, we all have a little bit of a criminal in us. We can go from being like a super crazy serial killer to just being a happy person who is gleefully going 10 miles over the speed limit, but it's like, we know we're not going to get caught. So we're still like a little bit of a criminal, which I think is like kind of a excessive way of categorizing people, because I'm not a criminal. Even if I do go 7 miles over the speed limit, I'm not a criminal, okay? And words matter. But it does make me think like, what is right and wrong? So at one point, again, these are rich ass people. They are billionaires. And as wedding gifts, they gave out shares of their incredibly rich business to some of the wedding guests, but not out of the kindness of their heart, basically to buy their allegiance, their loyalty, their silence. So it just makes me feel like, how much are people willing to, I hate to be dramatic, but sell their soul for it? I just say it like this: people gotta eat. Okay, somebody is struggling out there right now, figuring out how they can put food on their table. But with that, I do wonder, if you were given an opportunity to get a lot of money so that you can take care of your family, how much are you willing to look the other way on someone else's misdeeds because now you have what you need? I know that sometimes people don't care about like the afterlife. YOLO, you only live once. Life is short. Try to have a good time, not a long time. I think that's very dangerous. But because also life is both long and short. Like if we're fortunate enough, it's long. And then also to come back with that, people be complaining about getting old. And I'm like, that's a blessing. But that's another tangent for another day. But I'm just saying, like, so how much are you willing to look the other way for someone who helped you out? And I think that is like a question to ask yourself, and this truly is a no judgment zone. I just be asking y'all to think. I'm not really here to judge y'all. I am asking y'all to think. And think for yourself, not for me, not to give me an answer. Think for yourself. Like, how much of myself am I willing to do for whatever, or do this or that? Even the men with the legacy theories, okay? What y'all doing? But because again, I am a human that lives in this very expensive society. And people who say that you don't need money to live, y'all are lying. Y'all are lying, straight up. Y'all are lying and you're delusional. We absolutely need money to survive. We absolutely have to pay for things. Like, honestly, if you want to be free, and I don't mean even like free and like, oh, free, but like even outside of like just jail, you have to have some kind of money. They be throwing homeless people in jail all the time. So, like to say that you don't need money to live is just ridiculous, okay? I just do believe that there's a lot of people who would sell you out and sell out. They will sell out their own morals, their own values, their own integrity because...
Ooh-wee, look what that money make a bitch do.
Let's take it, for example, some organizations in America, okay? There have been organizations that were made to be uplifting, empowering their people, other people, disadvantaged people of color, whatever, and then they'll just let somebody infiltrate, wiggle their way in because of money. And that really is the detriment of everybody, because if they're willing to infiltrate something that you've been working hard on and you're willing to sell out, how you know they're not going to do that to you? You don't. You really taking a gamble, and you messing up other people's progress in the process. Again, I live in America. Like, I know my FBI agent is like, girl, shut the up. I'm coming for you, Taylor. No, but yeah, like it just makes me feel like, how much are people willing to sell out? And I think you should ask yourself that question. It's not an easy question, but we have to ask ourselves hard questions. We have to ask each other hard questions. We have to be honest with ourselves. If you can't be honest with anybody else until you're honest with yourself. And I say that wholeheartedly. That's something I fully believe, something I learned myself. It just makes me think, if everybody can be bought for any price, what will be the collective morality? What will be the state of humanity as a whole? Again, I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just expressing what you should potentially think about. And I'm not saying I have the answer. I don't have the answer. It's just good to have thoughts and think about things while you can, okay? So I had a few other questions that I had, but I just feel like I don't have any answers, so I'm just not going to ask them anymore, at least in this episode, because I feel like I was hitting y'all ass hard with a lot of questions. So I'll save them, and if you want to have a discussion about any of those questions, like, please, again, leave a little comment in the comment section, because I do want to engage with people about these things, because these are the things that I think about, and I know I'm not the only one. I don't know. I just found that a lot of these questions, yeah, they might be tough, but they were interesting, and it really just is a real testament to the human psyche and how we interact with each other. Honestly, it really is how we interact with each other. And it also shows, what we're willing to do for the people we love, as well as ourselves. How far are we willing to tip the lines of morality, humanity, doing good, doing bad? Like, how much we're willing to do that for our children, our parents, our friends, our family, ourselves. It just really makes me think. And so for that, I really appreciate this book for that, because I've had a lot of thought-provoking questions. So with all of that and all those questions and the plot and the people we like and the people we dislike, the good villains, the bad people, with all of that, it is safe to say that this book was a page turner that kept me intrigued and interested throughout the entire book. There was no dull moments at all. So I'm easily going to give this book a 5 out of 5 golden bookmarks. There's really nothing else to be said. It was great. It was fantastic. Chef's kiss to Jason Rekulak. And now he's on my radar. I want to read more of his books. He has a few more. And I think the one that people are also talking about a lot was Hidden Pictures. So I'm really excited to check that one out. And that wraps up another long episode of the Cozy Little Book Club. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've made it to the end, please leave a little stack of book emoji or any other emoji that you see fit and let me know what you thought about the book. And if you read the book, again, let me know about Dr. Cell Phone with an emoji. Don't ruin it for the others, but like, put it in there, okay? That sounded crazy, me pointing. That was crazy. Pause. Put it in the comment section. Get your mind out of the gutter. Put it in the comment section, okay? You damn freaks. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know each time that we drop a new review. Thank you again for tuning in. I hope y'all have a really lovely day. And remember, when you open a book, you open your mind. Until next time, peace. There we go, Miss America. Yes, I'm trying to channel a preppy rich person. Okay. This book is definitely full of twists and turns. That felt weird. I will not use that. That felt weird. Oh, you know what it reminds me of? From that one of my favorite movies, Superstar. And he was like, this new dance is called the Pepper Mill. I love that movie. Shout out to Will Ferrell and Molly Shannon. That movie's hilarious. It is a classic.
Ooh, yeah.